Kansas in the early 1940s. That was when that picture was taken. He was born in 1916, 4 years before my father, grew up down the road a piece from him, in Kansas, Pilsen, Kansas. Emil was ordained in 1940. He served in his home parish, St. John Nepomucene, for 4 years. He was really interested in being a chaplain for the military. You can understand this was during the war, and he asked his priest, or his bishop, and his bishop said, no, you stay there, you stay there. He finally wore him down, and he got to go to the Army Air Corps in northern Kansas and be an assistant chaplain there. In 45, 46, he went to the India-Burma campaign, wrapped up World War II in southern Asia. Came back home, went to graduate school, then kept bugging his bishop to just do chaplaincy. He went to a chaplain school, I think it was in Pennsylvania. He became a captain in the military. He went to active duty, went to Japan in 49, then went to Korea in 50 at age 34. What did he do there? He heard a lot of confessions, he said a lot of masses, aided a lot of sick and dying. His mother prayed fervently for him to be able to come home someday. Then in November of 1950, everybody thought this was, they were going to be home at the end of 50 in Korea. It was going to be over. Well, China got into the war. 20,000 advancing Chinese warriors came across the border, attacked his 600 men, took him captive, marched 86 miles to a Chinese POW camp in North Korea. No food, only water. If you lived, you lived. If you didn't live, you died. He was in POW Camp 5. What does a great man do in a POW camp, you say? Well, he stole food for the hungry. He gathered up puddle water from the rain for the thirsty. He aided the sick. He held the dying. What any great man would do. He heard a lot of confessions, said the daily mass. That's him on the right there, before they were captured. He had 24 daily deaths he took care of in that prisoner of war camp. The communists didn't like him saying mass so much. He gave the other prisoners hope. They knew that he was a splinter in their mind control over the prisoners. One day in 51, he was so weak from sharing his meager rations with the sick, dying, he suffered dysentery, had frozen feet from the cold. The guards came to take him away. They put him on a litter, took him to the hospital. Before he left, he told the men, tell them back home that I died a happy death. He turned to his friend, Mike, and said, don't take it hard, Mike. I'm going where I always wanted to go. And when I get there, I'll see up there, all of you. I've read this 100 times, but I still break up. Subsequently, in 93, he was named the Servant of God. In 2008, he has his cause for canonization was opened. In 2013, he received the Medal of Honor. He was one of only 5 20th century chaplains to be given the military's highest award. They were all Catholic chaplains. His mother at that time prayed daily for his body to come home to Kansas. Fast forward to 2003, waiting room at a VA clinic in Florida. A fellow POW from Camp 5 picked up a copy of our magazine in March 2003, read about this priest who was in a POW camp in Korea. Said, I know that guy. I helped bury him. He's not in a mass grave. We buried him up on the ridge. So they called, the VFW called Washington, and they got involved. And here, a body, one of 560 relatively intact remains that had then actually returned to Hawaii in 54. China and North Korea let us bring bodies home in the 50s and the 90s. Well, in 54, they brought a lot of bodies home. They buried them in the crater in Hawaii, the Punch Bowl crater, beautiful place if you ever get to go there. And they ran his DNA of what they thought might be him, and with 100% certainty, they found out that it actually was Dr. Kapaun. This was 2 decades after his mother's death. She died, dementia, didn't know what end was up, but she prayed daily for his son to come home, her son to come home. But he was already on American soil for 67 years at that time. The U.S. military works tirelessly to keep the promise, no man left behind. Now let's go to 2009. 3 men honored Father Kapaun by walking 60 miles to mimic his last journey from Pilsen to Wichita. This has become a yearly June celebration, and last year, the 14th annual Father Kapaun pilgrimage, over 400 people from 14 states and beyond did the walk. Roughly 20 miles a day, rest stops along the way, talks along the way about Father's life. I called Rose, the secretary at Father's church. She told me of Pilsen. There's only the church and a dozen or so houses, no stoplights, no stores. Recent census is down from 75 to 60. The current pastor has 5 parishes that he takes care of on the plains. He says a mass every day in a different parish. You see the church spires. If you've driven through Kansas, you see church spires 20, 30 miles off. Last Sunday it always ends on the first Sunday in June. So last Sunday, they had 375 participants. Terrible rains, she said. 450 people were upstairs and downstairs in the church on Sunday. Unfortunately, Paul, I thought of you. Next picture. Go back. Where's the bike? There. I thought of a bike contingency, but as you can see, there's a wood or a mud dirt there, and if it rains, it's a mud storm, so no bikes. They limited it at 400. The local principal at Kapaun Mount Carmel Catholic High School in Wichita has said the students live out and profess their faith more firmly in Father's memory. There are now 23 Knights of Columbus councils worldwide named after Father. Last page. So what about us? Is it too late to go to Kansas? Yes. But how about our own walk? For those that can, I'm going to propose that on July 9th, which is a Sunday, we walk around our perimeter of our property here. I measured it today. It's just almost exactly a mile. We can walk a mile. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. Wear a baseball hat. It says what service you were in. We'll start at the portico here at 12:30, 12:45 if Father Gilstrap has a mass. Jerry has volunteered to have a Korean POW meal afterwards at the Boy Scout fire pit. Beans and warm brown water. We'll say a rosary for Father's memory for his sainthood. This is not a night thing. You don't have to be a knight to honor a veteran. Bring your wife, bring your girlfriend, bring them both. Bring your kids, your neighbor, bring a veteran from a retirement home, bring a POW in a wheelchair, walk them up and down the blacktop. No rain date, bring a poncho. There were no rain dates in Korea. And what of his mother's prayers? Maybe from heaven, she arranged for that cleaning lady at the VA clinic to display that magazine in such a way that veteran would pick it up and read it. So we would have his body today in Wichita, entombed in the cathedral there. Think about it. The prayers were finally answered. He came home. For your information, a lot more POWMIs are being identified. I spoke with Scott Carter in Wichita at the Cause for Canonization for Father Kapaun. That's his own office. He said approximately 5-6 years ago, the Defense Department, POWMIA Accounting Agency, started newer technology that could correlate DNA from unknown corpses Normandy, everywhere, whatever, around the world, with blood samples from families of soldiers, sailors, several generations distant that are living now. You give blood, your third grandfather, you lost him somewhere. They can find out from your DNA if that was him or not. The Father's next step is to be declared venerable, and they will work on the 6 miracles that have been attributed to him to espouse his sainthood. Worldwide, there are groups called Kapaun's men who espouse the virtues of this priest, chaplain, caretaker, brother. Read about them at the www.kapaun. I'll have all this in a minute. Maybe we could eventually have a prayer or two. On the website of a short video, it's about 15 minutes, that I think will turn your life around and turn my life around. In a minute. So please look at that video in the website. Jerry might actually play it now if there's no objection. After a while, we'll pick up chairs.